All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're unpacking a moment in history when an entire nation did something pretty unthinkable. They decided to execute their own king. This is the dramatic, incredible story of how the people of France, after centuries of monarchy, took power into their own hands and built a brand new republic right from the ashes of the old world.
So, how on earth did it all go down? Well, here's our roadmap. First, we're going to look at why the king's throne was so shaky in the first place. Then, we'll meet the radical revolutionaries who challenged him. We'll find that one moment where there was no turning back, watch a new republic being born, and finally, we'll see what happened to the king himself.
Okay, let's set the scene. By 1792, France wasn't just a country, it was a pressure cooker, and that lid was about to fly right off. I mean, this was the terrifying question that was on everyone's mind. France had a new constitution, right? And they had a king who'd sworn he'd follow it. But what if that same king was secretly working against his own people? His loyalty was, to put it mildly, in serious doubt. And here we get to the core of the problem, just sheer betrayal. In public, King Louis XVI was playing along, accepting the revolution's changes. But in private, he was writing to other kings all over Europe, basically begging them to invade France and put him back in absolute power. For the French people, this was just the ultimate act of treason. So the assembly decided they had to strike first. They didn't see this as just a war between countries. For them, it was a revolutionary crusade. This was a battle between the free people of France and the whole old system of kings and aristocrats that ruled the rest of Europe. Now, this war and this deep, deep distrust of the king, it created a power vacuum. And stepping right into that vacuum was this radical new political force, the Jacobins. So the Jacobins, they weren't your wealthy elite. Nope. They came from the less well-off parts of society. We're talking about everyday people, shopkeepers, craftsmen, printers, who felt like the revolution hadn't really delivered for them yet. They were organized, they were motivated, and they wanted much more radical change. The Jacobins' real power came from their supporters out on the streets. This group had a really distinct look that kind of became their trademark. They were known as the sans-culottes, and that name was a huge political statement tied directly to what they wore. And this just perfectly shows the divide. The nobility wore these fancy silk knee breeches. The revolutionaries, they wore long, striped trousers, the kind of a dock worker would wear. And the name, sans-culottes, literally means without knee breeches. They were basically shouting, through their clothes, that the age of the aristocracy was over. So you've got this angry, organized force on the streets. It was really only a matter of time before things hit a breaking point. It was just a perfect storm of anger. People were hungry, the price of bread was through the roof, and they were furious at a king they were convinced had betrayed them. The Jacobins saw their moment and started planning a huge uprising in Paris. And on August 10th, it all exploded. An enraged crowd stormed the king's palace, they massacred his guards, and they took the king himself hostage. The entire balance of power shifted in a single day. The assembly, seeing which way the wind was blowing, quickly voted to throw the whole royal family in prison and called for new elections. Now you have to understand, this was a massive deal, a truly revolutionary expansion of democracy. Before this, you had to have property to vote. Now, for the first time ever, political power was given to every adult man in France. Didn't matter if you were rich or poor. So, with the king locked up and a whole new group of people able to vote, the stage was set for France to completely redefine itself. This new assembly was called the National Convention, and its number one job was to decide the future of France itself. And let me tell you, they did not waste any time. You should circle this date in your mental calendar, September 21st, 1792. This is the day that modern France was really born. And just like that, with one historic vote, it was done. Over 1,000 years of French monarchy just swept away. The convention officially declared France a republic. So what does that actually mean, a republic? Well, it means the power now belongs to the people. They get to elect their leaders. And, this is the crucial part, there's no more rule by birthright. No more kings. The head of the government would be chosen, not born into the job. But, getting rid of the monarchy created a very practical and very dangerous question. What do you do with a king when you don't have a kingdom anymore? The National Convention put Louis XVI on trial. And the charge was about as serious as it gets: treason. He was accused of betraying the entire French nation by plotting with its enemies. The trial was fast.
He was found guilty. The sentence was death, and the date was set.
On January 21st, 1793, Louis XVI was executed by guillotine in a public square in Paris. It was a brutal, final, and irreversible statement. The age of kings in France was officially over.
And that question, well, that's what would plunge France into its next and maybe even bloodier chapter. You see, killing a king was one thing, but building a stable republic from the ground up, that was about to prove a much, much greater challenge.